Hello everyone and welcome to class of DynamoDB components. So we have discussed about tables in our last class. Today we are continuing with the next component which are items. Items is a group of attributes that uniquely identifies among all other items. Like a table consists of or it contains multiple items. Suppose in a relation table, each item represents one person. Suppose we have created a table with the name of relation. So in the table, we have information of all relations, family, friends, etc. So here in a relation table, each item will represent one person. So if we take an example of a vehicle, so each item will represent a vehicle. So items are similar to rows, records, or tuples in relational database systems. In DynamoDB, there is no limit to the number of items we want to store in our table. So this is the second component of DynamoDB, which is item. Next component, we have attribute. Each item is composed of one or more attributes. Now what is an attribute? Attribute is basically a fundamental data element that do not need to divide any further. Attributes in DynamoDB are similar in many ways to fields and columns. Suppose we are having an item with the name as department. So it contains attributes such as department ID, name, manager, and so on. This is attribute. Now let's discuss about primary key. A primary key in DynamoDB is uniquely identify each item in the table. And no two items can have the same key. Again, primary key should be a unique key. The key values are required very important to add whenever we create a database in DynamoDB. So whenever item is added, updated or deleted from the table, the primary key attribute must be specified. So if we talk about primary keys, so it consists of two types of primary keys. First we have partition key and next we have sort key. So let's discuss about primary key, which is a partition key. A primary key composed of one attribute which is known as partition key. That means we are talking about primary key. So primary key is which is a unique key. It consists very first as a partition key. So one attribute which is partition key. Now this partition key values are input and output to an internal hash function. Internal hash functions are used to define where the key is stored. Now, no two items in a table can have the same partition key values. So, always a composite primary key consists of two attributes, partition key and sort key. Partition key value is stored to determine where the item is stored using hash function, and sort key value store all items in a sorted order which have the same partition key. Suppose we are having one or more items, so we are having the same partition key, so it sorts and save them. So partition key of an item is also known as hash attribute because it gives us the location where the values or the key is stored. The sort key is known as range attribute because the DynamoDB stores item using the same partition key physically close to each other in a sorted manner. So this is primary key. Next we have secondary key or secondary indexes. A secondary index is used to query the data in a table. using an alternate key. In place of primary key, for query a data in a DynamoDB, we are using a secondary index or a secondary key. Now again, DynamoDB supports two kind of indexes. First is global secondary index, next is local secondary index. We can define up to 5 global secondary indexes and 5 local secondary indexes. Now if we talk about global secondary index, it is an index with partition key and sort key that can be different from those on a table. Whereas local secondary index is an index that has the same partition key as a table but a different sort key. That means in global secondary index, we are having partition key and sort key different from a table, whereas in local secondary index, partition key and sort key are different. So this is about components of DynamoDB. Thank you so much.